morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name is Ross, and as always told, Out of Voice Radio. So today, we're going to be bringing you a video about a promo Zangoose, which has been revealed over at pokerbeach.com, and at the moment, as I record this, it is the only place I can actually find it revealed. It is actually being given away in Korokoro Ichiban, a Japanese comic magazine thing, and once again, it leads me to this question. How come Japan gets magazines that give away free Pokemon cards, exclusive promo Pokemon cards, and we don't? Interesting little side note, there is an official Pokemon magazine in the UK, which does occasionally give away these little kind of sneak peek packs to give you free commons. They're not good, and it doesn't count. I want exclusive promos. Come on, Pokemon Magazine UK, you can do this. Now, it is a Zangoose, which does, of course, mean Viper is coming along in the near future. Mongoose, Snake, all of that stuff, they tend to come in pairs. Also, we might have to activate the free videos a day button for a day or two because the amount of news that's been coming out, literally starting the day my wife gave birth to our daughter, has been absolutely incredible, and quite frankly, we need to keep up. So this Zangoose then, well, good news is, and it's not actually good news, I'm being sarcastic, it's a colourless Pokemon. It's a normal Pokemon. There's nothing good about being a normal Pokemon at the moment. You're not hitting anything for weakness. We're long past the Garchomp Wars, so colourless is not a good typing for that. You don't get any extra tricks, like Brooklet Hill would be an extra little trick for water or fighting Pokemon. And of course you have weakness to fighting, which means weakness to Buzzwole, which is not good. Add in the fact that you've got 100 HP, which means pre-rotation, Buzzwole with strong energy gets an easy one-hit KO. Pre or post-rotation, Buzzwole with a Diancie Prism Star gets an easy one-hit KO, 100 damage, not particularly strong. So you've got a bad weakness, you're not hitting anything for weakness, you've got no little extra tricks, it's not looking good. One nice thing I can say about it is that you do have a retreat cost of 1, so Escape Board will be really good after rotation, reduces your retreat cost by 1, and in a world without Floatstone, retreat cost of 1 is huge because of Escape Board, and of course you do have colourless energy on a basic Pokemon, which means if we've got any attacks we like here, this is going to be a wonderfully techable Pokemon, because, well, colourless energy, basic Pokemon, you can chuck it into absolutely any deck you like. But do we actually want to? Now, like I mentioned, our translation for this does come from the lovely people over at pokerbeach.com, and the first attack is kind of weird and kind of interesting. 1 colourless energy, like I've said, on a basic Pokemon. This is as techable gets. Look at the top 6 cards of your deck. You may choose any number of Pokemon you find there and put them into your hand. Discard the remaining cards. So essentially, if you need to find a whole bunch of Pokemon, or you need to discard a whole bunch of cards, then you could actually get a lot of mileage out of this attack. And as I keep saying, 1 energy of any description, other than something like Strong, which can only be attached to a fighting Pokemon, on a basic. Now, in terms of searching for Pokemon, I can see some use for this. Now, of course, if we're talking about searching for Pokemon, we've got a little bit of competition here from Alolan Vulpix. Alolan Vulpix is a great card that for 0 energy allows you to search for any 2 Pokemon you like. Zangoose could potentially get you 6, but there's a little bit of an, will I hit the one I want? But let's think about a deck like Zoroark with Greninja. The thing is that Zoroark Greninja tends to play kind of a 4-4 or a 3-3 Zoroark line with a 4-4-4 Greninja line. And you really need to be searching out your Frogadiers constantly and your Greninjas constantly. And then, of course, you just need to grab your Zoroarks here as well. So actually, in a deck like that, if you could, say, hit 2 Frogadier and a Zoroark, you would get much more out of this than you would do just using an Alolan Vulpix. Although, of course, once again, we do need to sit and dwell just for a moment on the unreliability of this, and the fact that, really, is this something you're going to be able to do very often? Maybe. Maybe you will. So in terms of searching for Pokemon, yes, I like it, but Alolan Vulpix will a lot of the time be better because you get that certainty. But then we get to the discard, because any cards in your top 6 that aren't Pokemon you discard. And essentially, we could see this as a really, really good thing or a really, really bad thing. So if we want to take a nice positive slant, let's go back to Greninja GX. Let's say you're playing that. Well, Aqua Patch. If you end up discarding any basic water energy, you can get them back with Aqua Patch straight onto that Greninja. Well, that sounds like a little bit of fun. Same deal if you're playing a Malamar deck. You might be able to search for a bunch of Malamar to evolve up your Inkay, while also discarding Psychic Energy so that you can then accelerate them using Malamar the following turn. Or maybe we're playing a Rotom deck. We know that Rotom decks have 3 attacks if they've got 9 or more tools in the discard. So there we go. Just chuck down a bunch of tools in the discard using this and off you go. There are plenty of bonuses here. Although one thing that does occur to me is kind of ironic. One of the most aggressive discarding decks we've got, in Expanded at least, is Flareon Vespiquen. They both do the same thing, as in they've got literally the same attack. Double colorless energy, 20 damage plus 10 more for each Pokemon in your discard. That is the deck we've got at the moment that most aggressively wants to discard cards. And it wants to discard Pokemon. And you're not discarding them, you're putting them into your hand. Now, maybe you grab them into your hand so that you can then use a Professor Sycamore afterwards. That would be cool. But it's kind of ironic that the deck that most wants to discard cards is the one deck that doesn't get the discard from this. The other thing, and I do need to mention this, I'm afraid it's time to go a little bit negative now. What if you're playing something like a Greninja deck and you hit your double colorless? Okay, fine. Well, you can play Special Charge to make sure that doesn't happen. What if you hit a double colorless and a Special Charge? We have all had those hands where we play something like a Professor Sycamore and we draw 3 double colorless energy and a Special Charge. Well, if you hit that using Zangoose, in a lot of decks you've lost. I mean, go back to Vespiquen. One of the biggest issues with Vespiquen is getting your double colorless every turn and making sure that you can have a double colorless for every attack you want to use. This will make sure that you might not have the double colorless. And I'm aware that saying make sure and might not have is, kind of counterintuitive. There is a big risk with this, and honestly, as much as I love the potential in a deck that plays 25 to 30 Pokemon, and there are some of those around, the risk here is absolutely terrifying. There will be games, if you play Zangoose, where if you hit the right Pokemon, you get such a good setup that your opponent just cannot recover. Now, I know pre-rotation your opponent can always play an N, which would kind of suck, and then post-rotation your opponent can play a Judge, which, as we said in our Steven's advice video, is not terribly likely, because you just don't get that many cards early game. So I don't know if I can justify taking the risk here, because there will be games where this literally loses you the game by using it. Now, the other thing is here, double colorless energy, 40 damage, and bearing in mind, you cannot hit anything for weakness here, unless we get, kind of like we got the Flareon, etc., the Evolutions, not an official term, which changed the types of stage 1s. If we got a Pokemon that changed type of basics, this would still be a bad attack because it's 40 for a double colorless energy. Even if you can end up hitting for weakness in the future, it will still suck. So let's just ignore the second attack. It's utter garbage. This first attack is interesting, and for all those people, myself included, saying, just play Alolan Vulpix. Well, the rotation in September is going to be Sun and Moon On. Which means if there's a rotation in September 2019, and there should be, Alolan Vulpix will be rotated out. Maybe Zangoose could be useful then. Although, just to be 100% entirely clear here, it is so incredibly risky, and I guarantee if you play enough games with Zangoose, it will lose you games on turn 1 when you use it and go, well, now I've discarded too many resources, I've just lost the game. I've lost. Never mind. I'm going to be giving Zangoose between 2 and 3 Wassies. I don't think it's a good card, but I do think it's an interesting card. And let's face it, sometimes you'll use Zangoose and you'll get all the Pokemon you want and set up beautifully. It's just not a risk that I personally will be taking. But if you will, or if you agree with me, or if you just want to say hello, That's what the comment section is there for. Go nuts! Be nice. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wasi, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and so on, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do just that. And do make sure you check out my video game / Dragon Ball Super channel, Wasi Plays, for some more Wasi action. But by far the most important thing, as always, is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.